What is going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Mike Roach podcast. By now, you've probably heard that the Raptors 905 are an perfectly unblemished 14 and 0. And the man sitting in front of you and sitting in front of me, Raptors 905 forward Quincy Guerrier. Quincy, thank you for doing this, man.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you.
So, first of all, you were a bit banged up at the beginning of the
Yeah.
season. You are now healthy. You have infectious energy. You have re entered the lineup for the 905. How did you stay ready, sir?
It was hard. Having a turf toe injury. I still feel it a little bit.
Mm.
It's gonna take some time, but just being back there and I think mentally I was just staying ready, being there for my teammates. I was working out a lot too. Like I know I couldn't be on the court working out and stuff, but I was doing a lot of things on my body just to make sure that I was ready when I come back. And uh, yeah, it was just being staying in the moment. Was really it was hard mentally because I feel like this summer I put a lot of work to be ready entering the season, but a week before the season started I get hurt, and that the rest. But it's part of injuries, it's part of the game, and I stayed ready just mentally and kept working out.
Now, a perfect 14 and 0. You are the first team in G League history to enter the showcase a perfect 14 and 0. What do you believe is the root cause of that success?
I think it's just us being connected and playing to our standards. The Raptors had a really high standards for us. Either Raptors or Raptors 905, it doesn't matter. I think defensively we have to bring a different type of energy, communicate and everything. But I think it's really just being connected. We have a really good group this year. Everybody on the bench, like our bench is really good too. A lot of guys could start in a different team in a G League or anything like that. So it was just, staying connected. We're working hard, and it worked pretty well for us so
Mm.
far.
Talk to me about Coach Andrew. What have you learned from him?
He's a hard worker. He always tried to get better. I was obviously part of his team last year, and it was
Yeah.
his first year as a head coach. I could definitely see that there's a lot of growth in just him as a coach. He's trying to like be the best coach he can be, best person on and off the court. And he's a person that it's easy to talk to too. So I think he's a player's coach for sure.
When you're 14 and 0, things have to go well, obviously, on the court, right? But to
Yeah.
me, we got to keep bringing this up because first team in G League history to do this. How important is it for players to get along off the court? Can you separate the two, or do you believe that there is a consistency being good, getting along together off the court as well?
Yeah, no, I think it's all of it, and I think big part of that is that everyone knows their role. I think it's really important. We know that there's a lot of guys on our team that can, average 15 plus points or whatever. I include myself in that, but I mean, this year we have, like I said, a bunch of guys. Our two ways are amazing. JMO, Simon player, is playing well, and just knowing our roles. And we had a conversation with our coaches before, like early in the season, before the season started. So I think it's just everybody just buy into their roles, and I think because of that, I think that's why we have a really good success. And obviously off the court, we joking around and stuff and spending time with the team and stuff. But I think that's what's been helping us to win games.
Now, your point guards, Elijah Martin, Chucky Hepburn. What has it been like thus far playing with those two guys controlling the offense?
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, I knew them before. I was not really close to them and stuff, but obviously I played against them, and Chuck is really good. Elijah has been player of the week once this year, and it's been good, just but it's really defensively. I think like I'm more impressed with the defense than the offense, to be honest, because I know there's a bunch of guys on our team, like I said, that can
Hmm.
score, but
Yeah.
now it's just to buy in defensively, and to it's never going to be perfect, but as long as we stay connected and stay together, I think that's why we've been a big part of our success. I think we're number one, if we're number two, I think defensive rating in the G League, so it pays off.
I mean, you guys are savages. Clearly, I've seen you
Yeah,
down by over 20 in the second
yeah,
half.
yeah,
Right
yeah,
now,
yeah.
what is your coach? No, tell us. Bring us into the locker room for a second. You're down over 20. I think you were down 23
23. Yeah,
in the
yeah,
second half.
yeah.
What does your coach say to you here? Okay, the
Um,
typical come on guys, we got to do better here. We're not
Yeah, I
playing to
mean,
our
he
ability.
he just said that, we're not playing to our standards. He said, because I know there was a lot of guys missing on the other team. Their two ways was not there. One of the two ways was there, and then one of them got hurt the first time we played them the day before. So I think, he said something like, you got to respect the game of basketball, because if you're not respecting the game of basketball, it's gonna hit you back, So I think mentally we were kind of exhausted. I think maybe physically too, and we took the other team for granted. But we just reconnected in the first at halftime, and then we had our the bench was amazing.
Mhm.
Pat came off the bench, give crazy minutes defensively and stuff, and
Yeah.
I think from there on, like we were just like, yeah, we're gonna win. But we kind of knew we were about to win too. It was we kind of have that swag right now where we feel like no teams can beat us, but
Yeah,
we still gotta approach the game the right way, and like scouting report, staying connected, and play to our standards, and I think we did a great job with that.
You mentioned scouting report, and I've been hearing this, a couple times lately, right? Because, you hear coaches all the time talk about reports, right? And then there's a difference between just going over the scouting report and actually you guys as players being to execute on
Yeah.
the scouting reports, right? Important is it for you to be coachable, for players to be coachable at the pro level, at the college level?
Super important. I mean, for me, like, just personally, I mean, I've been coachable my whole life. When I play with at Tedford, Ibrahim, like you said, you know him well and stuff. Like,
Mhm.
they were on my ass all the time. Like, they were always like, even when I was the best player, best scorer, whatever, they were always, the standards was never good enough. And I think with that, it really translated for me easily at the next level, because a lot of players now these days in high school, everybody's telling them they good and stuff, and then when they get to where
Yeah,
everybody's good, like,
true.
now coaches are on their ass and stuff, and they just can't deal with it, because they used to have always people saying, like, oh, you good enough, you good. But, like, the reality is that everybody is good at the next level. It's who's going to be the most coachable, who's going to work the hardest, who's going to play to the standards of the team and stuff. So I think for me it was pretty easy to be coachable, but our team is really coachable. This is one thing, like, you can tell anyone on the court what to do and stuff, and they're just gonna apply it, So, and I know Coach Drew's been really he's been congratulating us a lot on being coachable and stuff.
So, I mean, when you look at your collegiate career, Syracuse, Oregon, Illinois, right? And then you've played for Team Canada as well. And
Hmm.
that's taken you around the world, playing in Europe and different places like that.
Yeah.
Um, what has been the biggest sacrifice you've made for your career?
The biggest sacrifice?
Yes.
Um, well, a sacrifice that I have pretty much every day, like, I'll open up to it. I have a daughter.
Hmm.
And I'm not seeing her as much because they live in Syracuse. I'm not with her mom anymore or whatever. But I think it's just, traveling a lot. I FaceTime her all the time and stuff, but I think this is the most, for me, a challenging part of it. Because, I was always with my daughter when she was born and stuff, and, like, the first 8 months and stuff. But now, it's a sacrifice for me, because I know everything I'm doing is for her now. It's for my family, it's for myself, but it's for her, most likely. So I think that was a big challenge. And playing back-to-back games, traveling a lot, going to places and stuff. I think that's the biggest challenge for me, overall, for my body and everything. But it's good. It's the choice. It's the life that I chose. I'm grateful for everything I have in life, and yeah,
It's a blessing, man. You got a daughter. I got two. I got two of
yeah,
them.
yeah.
What's the biggest way she's changed you as a person?
Um, I think honestly, it's more about, like, how I'm viewing stuff. Everything I do now, I know it's like I have my daughter, so everything now I do, it's like I gotta think twice sometimes. Like, it could be like the most, like, random stuff or whatever, but, like, it's just. knowing that there's a person that I made in this world that I have to take care of. Either
Hmm.
way, that if I'm not there physically or there physically, I got to be there, and I got to be an example, and I have siblings too, so I always felt like I was like that even before, but now that I know I have a daughter, it's like it's not just me anymore. It's her. Regardless that of the situation, that if I'm with the mom or not, this is the situation. So I think this is like a big thing for me that changed.
Have you ever had a low point anywhere in your career that has kind of taught you about resilience or how to tough it out?
Yeah, a few times. Back in Tedford, for example, when I got cut from Team Canada the first time, or like stuff like that, just like about it's not always gonna go the way you wanna, go. So, cause I remember my first year at Syracuse, I was projected in one of the mock draft or whatever. I
Hmm.
always thought I was about to be a one and done. I ended up playing five years in college. I played for the three schools that was in my top three out of high school. So it's just like the way I see it is like, this is like my journey, and I enjoyed it. I think God put me in a great position. I'm grateful for everything I have, and I just got to keep working, and then I know maybe one day, like I know I'm that close to being in the NBA. Like it's either NBA or overseas or whatever. I'm really grateful for where I'm at in my career, and I wouldn't change anything.
I got a couple more for you now here,
Yeah.
Quincy, before we get out of here. Is there anyone, when you're on your highs of highs or lows of lows that you go to specifically for words of wisdom?
Uh, like I said, God. I mean, I pray a lot and meditate. And if really I want you to talk to someone, I can talk to my one of my friends, or like close friends like that I consider as my brothers and stuff. But I just feel like I'm always trying to be in a positive mindset. I know life is not hard. Life is really hard, and
Hmm.
uh, there's always someone in this world that their situation is worse than me. So that's how I'm like approaching stuff too. And like I'm like, I'm grateful for everything. I have a place to live. I have a daughter that is healthy, happy, and she's grown up. She looks like she's 2 years old, but she looks like she's three, and like she's talking a lot and all that. So, this is like my joy of life. You know what I mean? Like, like even though I wish I could be more with her, but I know that with time I will be close to her, because it's my career. Basketball is you got to travel a lot and stuff, but um, she'll understand that, and I think me and her is gonna have the best relationship in the world, and I have no doubt about that. But um, yeah, I mean, it's God. Honestly, I have everything because of God.
You seem pretty wise for a young man. Is that something that like you developed over time, or is that kind of a gift you've always had?
I had to be mature at a really young age.
Hmm.
Stuff I've been through. Example, my mom or stuff like that is just like I had to grow up pretty fast, and I left home when I was 14 or 15 to go at that academy, Tedford Academy. I think I was 15 or 16 or whatever. I think 15 or 16, but I always been organized. I think being mature helped me a lot, um, with a lot of things in life, and then yeah, that's why, I mean, try my best every day. I know I'm not perfect, but I'm trying to be the best person I can be on and off the court every day.
No, it's great, man. One day, and I was telling you this before, I would love to be able to sit down with you in a long
For
form
sure.
show
Yeah.
and just kind of let the people hear about your life story because it's actually incredible and the basketball journey that you have been on. I would
Yeah.
love for people to be able to hear this in detail.
Yeah.
So last question though, before we get out of here. Now, you've shown a lot of versatility with your game, right? Like
Hmm.
scoring on the inside, rebounding, defending, right? Being able to stretch the floor. What are you focused on improving right now with your game in the G League?
Um, well, I'm really focusing on the stuff that I think gonna get me to the next level, to the NBA. So it's really just being consistent defensively. Like you said, being versatile, like guarding 1 through 5, or stuff like that, switching on anyone or whatever. I think that's a big thing, and being really consistent with my shot, my 3-point shot, like making shots in the corners, having a really good percentage this year, And finishing around the rim, crashing the boards. I think everybody knows I can rebound. I got to do a better job because I think my numbers are a little lower than last year in terms of advanced stats for rebounding. But making plays for my teammates too. I think this is a big. I think this is a big improvement from last year. I think I went from like advanced stats is like from 20% this year to like 5% last year, assist ratio or whatever. So
Mhm.
I think those things, if I'm doing those things like consistently and stuff, I think I will get my shot in the NBA. And if not, it's still gonna help me at the next level for example, if for next contract or anything like that. So those are the things I'm really focusing on, and especially my shots. I think if I'm shooting 40% from three or something like that, I think I will get my shot regardless.
Quincy Guerrier, forward for the Raptors 905. Quincy, good luck in the G League showcase. And
Appreciate it. Thank you.
we're going to need you down the stretch big
Yes,
time.
sir.
Things are about to
Yes,
get
sir.
serious. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
doing this.
Appreciate it.